Introducing YogaPlus. Download now for free. Available on the App Store and Google Play.
Brought to you by wellnessplus.tv and made possible by the generous donations of Psychetruth Patreon supporters.
Hi, my name is Kelsy with Naiana Yoga, and today I'll be instructing a sequence for prenatal yoga that will enhance hamstring flexibility, and it will also help with hip and low back pain. I'm currently 8 months pregnant with our third daughter, so I can attest that hip pain is something that most pregnant women do go through, and it can get pretty severe, so these stretches will help to alleviate that. To begin, we'll go ahead and bring our hands to our heart. We'll take one deep inhale and a full exhale before we begin with 3 ohms. So go ahead and close your eyes or soften your gaze at the floor down below. Taking a deep inhale through the nose. Exhale through the nose. And then again for our 3 ohms. Go ahead and lower your head down to your heart. Bring your hands to your knees. Lift your head up. Open your eyes. And we'll start with some shoulder rolls. So we're rolling the shoulders up as far as we can up toward the earlobes and then rolling them back down so you're pressing the shoulders away from the ears. And now we'll switch directions so you're bringing your shoulders forward. And from here, we're going to interlace our hands behind our back. We're going to inhale, look up at the ceiling, and then exhale, bring your chin down to your chest. You're stretching along the back of your neck. And begin to take your head over to the left, being careful not to take your head too far back. You don't want to crunch the cervical vertebrae. That's the top part of your neck, or the entire neck. And now we're switching directions. Go ahead and bring your head back to center. You're going to place your right hand on the mat next to you. Inhale as you take your left arm up, and then exhale as you reach for the other side of the room. Inhale as you come back to center. Place your left hand down, and then exhale, reach. We'll do this a couple more times. So inhale, come up, and then exhale, reach. Inhale up, and then exhale, reach. Inhale up. Go ahead and rest both hands down on your mat. And now this time we're going to inhale, taking the arms up. If you were in your first trimester of pregnancy, you can avoid the twist altogether or just be very gentle as you twist. So you're going to exhale and then take your left hand to the outside of your right knee and twist to look behind you. This can be a great shoulder stretch, but like I said, twists are something you want to avoid when you're in your first trimester. Inhale up and then exhale, twist. And then inhale up. Relax your hands down to your sides. And then from here, we're going to go ahead and do bear hugs. So you're taking your arms out to the sides. Inhale as you look up at the ceiling. And then exhale, round your spine as you reach your hands out in front as if somebody is pulling your hands away from you. Then inhale up. And then exhale, reach. So we're doing 6 directional movements here. You can keep inhaling and then exhaling as you reach. We twisted from side to side. And then we also move laterally from side to side. And now we're moving our spine from front to back. So we're getting a nice spinal warm-up. Let's come back to center. You can go ahead and cross your ankles. We're going to roll up onto the hands and knees for our tabletop position. This is where we're gonna press into downward facing dog. So from tabletop, we're gonna press into downward facing dog. Go ahead and flip your back toes under, and then you're going to press your torso back towards your thighs. Lengthen your spine, you're bringing your head down to the ground. You can keep the balls of your feet in place and then alternate lifting your heels. We're going to gently walk all the way up to our hands, leaving room for your belly. Go ahead and grab your elbows and hang. Let gravity do some of the work for you. If your weight's in your heels, you can start to shift that weight forward. Lift the tailbone up toward the ceiling. Relax the head. You can even release your hands down to the floor and then move your head from side to side, loosen up the neck. From here, we're gonna bend the knees, and then you can gently roll up one vertebrae at a time, with your head being the last thing to come up. From here, we're gonna go into some hip circles to warm up the hips. So you want to have the heels of your hands resting on your lower back, the fingertips on the buttocks. So you're supporting your back. Your feet are gonna be hip width apart or a little bit wider. And then go ahead and press your hips forward, keep your head in place, and you're taking your hips around in large circles. And then we'll reverse direction. Let's go ahead and come back to center. Now support your back by bringing your right hand to your hip. You're gonna take the left hand up, and then exhale as you come into a side bend. You're taking your hip out to the side, and you're also reaching for the other side of the room. Then inhale back to center, support your back, and then reach for the other side of the room. And then inhale back to center. We're gonna do this 2 more times. Come back to center, exhale, reach. Inhale, come back to center. And then if you'd like to try it unsupported, make sure that you've got enough strength in your low back to do this. But you're gonna interlace the fingers, and then exhale as you press the hands away from you, draw them up toward the ceiling, and then you can continue your side bends. Inhale back to center, then exhale, reach. Inhale back to center, exhale, reach. Inhale back to center, and then exhale, reach. Inhale to center, and then relax your hands down to your sides. So from here, we're going into a wide-legged forward fold, Prasarita Padottanasana. So you might want to grab a couple blocks. You'll place those in front of you, maybe on the most vertical setting to begin with. There's 3 settings for your blocks, so this is the most vertical. You can have it here, or also on the widest surface area, that's the lowest the blocks will go. So you're gonna step your feet out, maybe about 3.5 to 4 feet apart. The toes are pointing straight forward. The outer edges of your feet should be parallel with the outer edges of your mat. You can bring your hands into the Jana Mudra, then inhale, reach up, and exhale, come down to 25 degrees. Inhale, and then exhale to 45 degrees. Inhale, and then exhale all the way down to 90 degrees. We're gonna hold it here. 1 more breath. And then you can gently lower yourself down to your blocks. You can also walk the blocks out in front of you for a deeper stretch. Or if that feels good, then you can omit the blocks entirely and then walk your hands in between your feet, letting your belly and your torso come between your legs. You're pressing your palms into your mat or your blocks to come down. You're rotating forward as you take your tailbone up toward the ceiling. Let's go ahead and come back to that 90-degree angle. You can place one hand either on your block or on the floor in front of you. And then you're inhaling, rotating the other hand up toward the ceiling. Exhale, release, and you're switching hands. Then inhale and rotate. And then exhale, hands come back down to the floor. From here, we're going to heel toe all the way in. And we're sitting back into Malasana, which is garland pose. It's a squat. If you can't take your heels all the way down to the mat, that's okay. You can stay up on the toes. From here, you're pressing the elbows in one at a time into each knee to deepen the stretch in your groin. Let's go ahead and take the hands behind us, and you can gently lower yourself all the way down to the ground. And then from here, you want to take your blocks. Make sure you have them ready for you on the side of your mat. We have our ankles crossed. We're going to roll up onto our knees. So from kneeling, you can go ahead and take one foot out. Let's take the right leg out. And you can start to sink your hips down towards your mat. As you do that, you want to make sure that your front knee, your right knee, is right above the ankle. You can also take your hands to those blocks. If it feels comfortable, you can also take them all the way down to the mat. That's up to you. Let's go ahead and flip the back toes under, and we're lifting that back knee up toward the ceiling. So now we're in a runner's lunge. We can stay here for a couple breaths. You can practice that Ujjayi breath, the ocean breath, constricting the back of the throat slightly, breathing in and out through the nose. From here, we can go into the lizard lunge. So you're taking both arms to the inside of that front leg. And this is where you might want to have those blocks. You can take the blocks down and bring your forearms to rest on those blocks for a deeper stretch. You can also take your knee down to the mat and then flip your foot so that you're now resting on the top of your foot. Another couple breaths. And then let's go ahead and come up onto the knee, and you're shifting your weight back. So now you're taking your hip back. We're going to keep the front foot flexed as we bring our torso, bring your belly to the inside of that front leg. You can start to alternate between a pointed toe and then a flexed foot and see where that moves the stretch. You should notice that when you flex your foot, you're going to feel more of the stretch in your calf. From here, we're shifting our weight forward again. And this is where your strap can come in handy. So you can either grab the opposite foot from your right hand. So you're taking your right hand to your left foot and then bringing the left foot into your hips. Or you can loop your strap around the foot to do the same thing. This is the trickiest part. We'll take a couple of breaths here. You can let go of the strap or let go of your foot. We're shifting the hips back again. You're reaching your torso out and keep your head up. So you don't want to keep, a good rule of thumb is you don't want to bring your head all the way down to your mat unless you can naturally bring your nose down to your leg, because eventually that'll create some neck strain. So instead, try to look ahead, keep your back flat, and you're stretching your back out and then moving down. From here, if it's in your practice, you can come into Hanumanasana. This is a really deep stretch. This is a side splits. If you'd like to go a little bit further, but don't quite have that range of movement yet, you can use a bolster or a heavy pillow and rest your hips on that bolster. Maybe even two. Couple breaths. Let's begin to shift our weight over to that right hip. We're winding the left leg back front. You're crossing the ankles, and then you're rolling up onto your knees. So now we're coming to the other side. Let's go ahead and come to the middle of the mat. This time you're stepping forward with that left foot. And then again, we're coming into the runner's lunge. So you're lifting that back knee up. You want to make sure that the left knee is stacked over the left ankle. You can have your hands rested either cupped on your mat or on two blocks. Couple breaths. And this is where we're coming into lizard lunge, so you can come down to your knee, that back knee, And you can use your blocks to rest your forearms on those blocks to get into a deeper stretch for your groin. This also stretches the hip flexors. So let's go ahead and take those blocks, move them to the side. And then we're pressing our hips back, keeping that front foot flexed. We're taking the crown of the head, moving it out, and then bringing our entire upper body down towards the mat. Again, you can alternate between pointing the toe and flexing the foot. Let's go ahead and come up. You can take your left hand and grab the right foot as you keep your hips sinking down. So if you find yourself rising up, remember to keep your hips sinking down towards the mat and then grab that back foot. It can be hanging out here, then that's fine. Or you can start to take it in a little bit closer to your hip. And again, you can use your strap to do the same thing. Go ahead and release that back foot. We're shifting our hips back for this stretch one more time. You can point the toe, flex the foot. And if it's in your practice to come into Hanumanasana or the side splits, you can do so now. Or if you like the bolster, go ahead and rest that bolster right underneath you. And then gently shift your weight over to the left hip as you wind the other leg back front. From here, we're gonna come into Tadasana. So we'll come to the middle of our mat. You can move the props out of the way. And then we're gonna come into Tadasana, or butterfly pose. So you're pressing the outer edges of your feet together. It's okay if the feet are open like a splayed book. And then see if you can naturally draw your knees down towards the mat a little bit more. You're lengthening through the spine, up through the crown of the head to the ceiling. Nice deep breaths. And then we'll rotate each thigh inward twice. So go ahead and grab your right thigh and you're shifting it so that you're grabbing it and then bringing it forward. We'll do that twice on each leg. And then from here, grab your hips. We're gonna rock gently forward. Sometimes this can be hard if you are really tight in the hips, which is exactly why we're doing this, to warm up our hips and to alleviate that tightness and the pain associated with it. Go ahead and grab your feet and you can flutter the knees. And this is why this is called Tadasana, or butterfly pose. From here, you can start to stretch forward using your blocks. So maybe you can grab the blocks at the most vertical height, or if you want to keep them flat, you can start to walk them out, keeping a flat back, looking straight ahead. And as a final option, if it feels good for you, you can rest your hands on the floor and do the same thing. Just make sure you have enough space in your belly. Nice deep breaths through the nose. Let's start to walk the hands all the way back to center. Grab the outsides of your knees, hug them in. Wrap your hands around your legs and then rock from side to side. So from butterfly pose, you can go ahead and tuck in the right foot slightly underneath you, and then you're taking the left foot up. From here, you're gonna keep that left foot flexed and start to hug it in towards your chest. This is where your strap might come in handy. You can loop that around your foot and your knee instead and use that strap as leverage to bring your foot a little bit closer to your chest. So keeping the foot flexed, keeping it raised up toward the ceiling, we're hugging it in and then gently start rocking. You're loosening up the fascia on the outside of the hip. And from here, we'll gently start to cross the lower leg with the upper leg. So you want to have both knees stacked one on top of the other with your feet to the outside of the hips. If you find that both sit bones are not down on your mat, you can get some height by sitting on a bolster or a block. And from here, we're going to rock from side to side. So keep rocking from side to side. And to also get a shoulder stretch in this pose, you can take your left arm and then drape it over your back. So you're hinging at the elbow, draping your hand over your back, and then taking the other hand, you can interlock your fingers behind your back or do the same thing with your strap. So you're taking the left hand, draping the strap over your back, taking the right hand, grabbing the opposite end, and then pulling the elbows both toward the midline and then away from each other. So this just gets the most out of your stretch. Deep inhale and then exhale. And you can release. From here, you're gonna rock all the way over to that right hip and gently take your leg behind you. If you'd like, you can keep your leg bent to the side or continue to extend it out. So I'm gonna show you from the side so you can see what I'm doing. We're coming into pigeon pose. From here, you might not have your hip seated all the way down on your mat. And if that's the case for you, grab a block or your bolster and you can tuck it underneath your hip. If you're seated down on your mat, you can start to rock from side to side. And if you'd like to enhance the stretch, if you want a little bit more of a stretch, you can even take that back foot up. Let's go ahead and release that foot if you have it up. We're shifting our weight over to that front side hip, and then you're wrapping your legs back in front. So now we're gonna go ahead and go into the other side. So go ahead and tuck the one foot underneath you, and then you're gonna take the other foot up. Keeping that foot flexed, you're gonna start to press it into your chest and then rock from side to side, using your strap again if you need to. So you're loosening up the fascia on the outside of your hip. Try to keep your back nice and long, lengthened. You're moving the crown of your head up toward the ceiling. And that's when you can begin to drape your knee over the bottom knee, keeping both feet to the outside of your hips. Remember to sit on a block if you don't have both sit bones down on your mat. So just lift yourself up using your hands, pressing into your mat, and sit on the block. So let's go ahead and rock from side to side here. And from here, we can also go ahead and go into that shoulder stretch. So you'll take your strap and then drape it over your back and reach up with the other hand. So you're taking your elbows in toward the midline of the body and then stretching them away from each other. If you're able to, you can also go ahead and reach for the fingertips, hooking the fingers to do the same thing. You're drawing the elbows away from each other. Deep inhale. And then exhale as you release. Start to shift your weight over to that bottom hip, and slowly we're winding that top leg behind us to come into pigeon pose. And again, here you might want to sit on a bolster or a block if your hip isn't seated down on your mat. Wherever you are, we can rock from side to side. To go deeper into the stretch, you can even take that back foot up to come into Raja Kapotasana, which is pigeon pose. And then let's gently release. Shift your weight to that front hip, and we're winding your leg back front. From here, we're gonna come into Supta Baddha Konasana, and then finally Shavasana. So we have two more poses. So the way we come into Supta Baddha Konasana is we take our bolster and two blocks. We want to have one block vertical on our mat. The other block will be horizontal and flat. Let's go ahead and take that bolster and prop it up. If you're using a bolster, make sure that the handle's facing away from you so it's not cutting into your back. And you'll have your hips to the very base of that bolster. From here, loosen your strap so you have the widest setting. You're going to drape it over your torso, bringing it really low onto your hips. From here, keep your feet together just like you're going into Tadasana or butterfly pose. You can loop that strap over your feet, making sure that the metal piece of the strap isn't cutting into your ankle or your knee. And if you don't have a strap, that's fine. You can go ahead and keep your feet together and allow the knees to fall out. We're gonna tighten it as much as we can, bringing the feet up to the groin. Make sure that that strap stays really low, and we'll gently lower ourselves all the way down onto the bolster. Go ahead and relax, take deep breaths. Enjoy the sensations that you might be experiencing after all that hard work and increasing your flexibility. And then when you're ready, you can begin to prop yourself up, stay halfway to let the blood pool back down from your head. And then you can press all the way up, loosen the strap, loop it back over your feet and your torso, extend your legs, and we'll come into Shavasana the same way. So we're gonna come down gently, keeping your feet. Gotta fix my block here. Your feet will be about hip width apart or slightly wider. And you can begin to relax the feet out to the sides, relax the legs out. Feel your hips become heavy, sinking down into the earth. Get comfortable here. You can even rock your hips from side to side. Soften your belly. Feel the rise and fall of your chest. Soften your throat. Relax the jaw. Release any facial tension, especially around the mouth and nose. Allow the space between your eyebrows to widen and soften. And this might be a good place to pause and enjoy your Shavasana for a little bit. And then when you're ready to come out of it, again, prop yourself up halfway. Resting here for a moment before we come all the way back up to a seated position. From here, you can cross your legs, bring your hands to your heart, close your eyes for one final Om. So deep inhale through the nose. Lower your head down to your heart, your hands down to your knees. Lift your head up and open your eyes. Namaste. Thank you for joining me for this flexibility prenatal workout to alleviate hip and lower back pain. If you like this video and would like to join me for some more videos, then go ahead and download that YogaPlus app, and I'll see you again in another video. Thank you. Namaste.
This is day 1 of my 30-day yoga challenge. We're going to progress through some intermediate and advanced postures and just address overall wellness and stress reduction. Be proud of yourself.
Introducing YogaPlus, offering a free series every month with over 300 different videos. Take control of your health. Work out anytime, anywhere. YogaPlus. Download now for free.